Thank you. Let's move on, Jim, to Judith. All over to you, Jim.
Judith, good evening. Good afternoon, Judith.
Hello, Jim.
First, would you like to tell me what clubs you're from?
Okay, my home club is South Burnett Toastmasters. That's in Kingaroy. We meet at the RSL club there on the first, third and fifth Thursdays of the month. Some people have a meal, some people don't, but it's great coffee and cakes as well. So yeah, that's my home club. I'm the Vice President of Education there.
Thank you very much, Judith. I've heard that last year you were a successful club coach. Would you like to talk about that?
I'd love to. Thank you, Jim. I was a successful club coach for Chermside Communicators. They had 10 members and they had a club coach, Cameron Crook. And he didn't want to share the position, but a couple of weeks later, he rang me back and he said, I think we could share this position. It's a pretty big job. So he took on the technical role. So he was doing the meetups and all the Facebook pages and all the computer stuff. And he was a whiz with that. I took on the role of being the coach for the club. And so I was visiting. We were both going there, but Cameron was taking people aside and doing the computer side of things with them. And I was there just to talk up Toastmasters and share with them and find out their goals. And we both became the general evaluators for a couple of meetings, and we had ideas to share with them. And just being able to go, and the Chermside Library where they meet has a wonderful little cafe. So after the meeting, we could go to the cafe and have coffee with these people, and they would sign up. And Maria, who was on screen a minute ago, she was one of the people that I met her at the cafe, and she had a young man there. She was mentoring him and orientating him basically, and telling him what Toastmasters was all about. And I sat down with them and we just kept talking, and then he decided that he'd come to a meeting, but he also decided he wanted to bring his wife. So that was pretty exciting. They both joined. And then we had 3 husband and wife teams come into the club and they all joined. We ended up with 18 members at that stage. And then COVID's hit, but we've still got around 15 members on the books, I believe. One came back last Saturday. He hadn't been for a while because it is a Zoom meeting. He wanted the social aspect as well as the Toastmaster thing, but he's come back. So as soon as we get back in the room, we'll be able to rebuild that club. It's a great club. It's a multicultural club, and it's a wonderful venue as well. And we have great programs. So all happy and fun things. We did a table topic, or a warm-up the other day was 2 truths and a lie, and that was quite fun, right round, and we found out a lot of stories about a lot of people. So we have the information.
So Judith,
Can you just welcome Robert, Jim?
Okay, can we also welcome our club growth director, Robert Green, who's just entered the room.
Hello.
Judith, can you give me in short your reasons why you believe having 2 club coaches for a club is much more successful than just having a single one?
Having your 2 club coaches, you've got someone to bounce ideas off. If you've got an idea you think might work with that club, they may have seen something else, and we can share those ideas and work together on gaining the best for the memberships that we've got. So I think it's a valuable asset to have 2 club coaches, not just one.
Thank you, Judith. In certain clubs, when a club gets down to 12 members or less, the question is asked, should we have a club coach? Why do we want a club coach? How can a club coach benefit our club? Can you talk to us about clubs thinking of a club coach, why they should even consider having a club coach in the first place?
I would recommend that clubs that are down in numbers ask for 2 club coaches. Give 2 people the job role to share, and that's a leadership role in itself. It's a great opportunity to have different ideas and different opinions coming into the club, doing evaluations, assisting people with different levels of pathways, going through different award systems, what they might need, how they can get mentors for what, and coaches for what goals they might want to achieve. So myself at the moment, I'm wanting to learn more about Zoom. So I've got one of the people that's been on the technical teams and she's going to start mentoring me, and that's her project with Pathways Mentoring. I'm going to learn about Zoom, and it's a win-win. So having 2 coaches is a win-win for every club.
Thank you, Judith. When you were club coach, how did you ensure that the club took ownership of member growth and not over-relied on the services of yourself and Cameron?
Well, I had to travel quite a long way to get to Chermside Communicators because I live in Nanango. So I wasn't there, and I wasn't a quick visit away or anything like that. So we would do what we had to do at the meeting, and then I would email a little valuation after the meeting, and they would take that to the executive committee and they would discuss what I had suggested. And if they didn't like it, that doesn't matter. It's only my opinion. So, yeah. So that's the way we did that.
Now I'd like to hand over to Denise. Do you have any questions for Judith in relation to club coaches?
So Judith, I'm in a struggling club. You're the club coach. What would be probably your first tips that you give them to increase membership?
Well, the first thing I would do is when you walk in the room, you need to see if you've got a meter and greeter. You need to know that you've got the person's name and phone number and email address. And then you sit them with someone that is not too new, because I find, or someone that's actually not been there many years, because the people that have been in clubs for a very long time seem to overwhelm new members or guests, and they want to tell them everything at once. So I'd recommend someone that's been in the club for 6 months and sit them with the guest and get them to share what they've learned. And that person then, the person that's been in the club for 6 months as a member, will actually find out what they know, and they'll realise that how much they have learned in that 6 months. So it's beneficial to both. You're building the member that you've already got, and you're building the member and the guest that might be a member later on. So I think it's important not to overwhelm guests.
So what about the emphasis on a club coach to invest in the members that are already there and not always just wanting to get more members?
Yes. Okay. So I would find out their goals. With Chermside, I walked around and I greeted every member, asked how long they'd been in the club. I asked what pathway they were doing. I asked what level they were at, and I found out exactly what they wanted from the club. So each member was feeling important because I had taken that time to meet and greet everyone in that room. And that's something that I learned from the leadership skills of John Maxwell many years ago. He writes beautiful books on leadership. And he said, you don't go into a room to eat. You go into a room to meet and greet people. He said, I can go home and have a ham sandwich after a meeting. I don't need to be there to eat. So he made sure that he contacted every person in the room. So when we go into a room, we make sure that we meet and greet those people. We don't go to the food table and stand by the coffee urn, and just be a figure in the room. So making people feel important and greeting them, I think, is a big thing.
So what would you say would be the weaknesses that you witnessed as a coach in the when you're thinking about membership or trying to convert guests to members? What are clubs not doing well?
Some clubs, it's got to be the agenda and the programming. That has to be spot on, because if the Vice President of Education hasn't got the agenda in order, then mostly everything falls apart. And if you need to have a Vice President of Education that's got a forward program, and I recommend a 4 to 6 meeting program. I do one for 6 months as a Vice President of Education, and I'm starting to plan next year now as well. But it's having people on the forward plan so they know when they're going to be doing speeches. And it's actually getting every member through a pathways level, at least one in 6 months, because it's not hard to do that. Then if you speak to them and they want to do a 3rd level to gain a triple crown, you can program that. So the agenda has to be spot on, and people have to be turning up to do those roles. But I also recommend an emergency kit. So that each member has a set of table topics in their emergency kit. They have a spare speech with the evaluation form ready to go, so that if someone doesn't turn up to the meeting, they can present a speech, they can jump in and do table topics, they have got a Toastmaster role that they want to do and filling in the program, so that people are there and being prepared. So like a good scout, you're always prepared for what's next or what comes your way.
So is it a stigma having a club coach?
No, no, not at all. I think it's beneficial to everybody. As a club coach, you grow so much in yourself, and you think, oh, why haven't I done this before? Because it's just a wonderful opportunity to meet and greet people. And
as in clubs thinking, oh, we're in trouble. Do a lot of clubs wait too long while their membership is falling until it gets to the stage it's really hard to get back up?
We have a couple of clubs that would say, we've done it that way before and it hasn't worked. Well, every time is different, and club coaches are different too. They may not have liked the club coach that they had, but they didn't know how to say, look, this is not working for us. But, and clubs can say that easily, and then the club coach can go and find somebody else to coach. We don't, it's a volunteering position, and we do it because we love it. And the club, the members have got to like the coach too. So it works for everyone, and it's not a stigma. If all clubs are down at the moment with numbers because of the different situations people are in, we've lost, people have lost jobs and they've lost membership, so they have no wages coming into their house. There's husband and wife teams that are members, so we're losing members. But we are also gaining members, because right now South Burnett has like 6 or 7 new members, and their ages are around the 23 to 30 mark. So we've picked up a lot of really good quality members. Not that the other members aren't quality members, but these are young people coming in to learn computers and different ways, and they've got different ideas, which is great for us.
Does anyone have any questions from the floor for Judith on how club coaches can help your membership?
I have nothing but praise for them.
Sorry, Chris?
I have nothing but praise for them.
Have you been a coach, Chris?
As Judith and Paul well know about Kilcoy.
Paul McCulloch and I both coach Kilcoy.
It's amazing,
because of COVID.
Have grey hairs.
Yeah, no. We had a great program going. We were going to do an open house, and we had all the advertisement done, and we had to shut the door. So it was and then we were going to do the art of public speaking. But knowing where those items fit in our pathways was a big thing too, wasn't it, Chris? Yeah.
Judith?
Yes.
For budding people who are looking at possibly being a club coach, but they're not sure if they want to send their name across to the club growth director, what did you personally gain out of being a club coach, and what skills did you learn that maybe they might also learn?
I think conflict resolution is one big thing that comes across. You've got a member that doesn't see it your way, so you've got to resolve that issue and let them know that it's only your opinion and they're entitled to their opinion, and that's okay. We're all different. We all have different ways. And negotiating with clubs that have got, some members don't want you there, and that's okay. Other members welcome you in with open arms, and they need all the help they can get. So it's kind of a situation where you just have to be mindful that everyone is different. And I would recommend anyone take up the challenge and just do it afraid.
Judith, I've got one question for you. What content do you put in the backup folder? Like, is it like an up-to-date speech that's relevant to a manual?
Yes. Always have a pathway speech in your folder, and it can be, Charmaine, it doesn't have to be for the pathway that you're working on. It might be something that you might want to do in the future. So you're working on a pathway. You've got 5 levels to go in the club you're in. You might find something else that you might want to do later on down the track. So you can have an icebreaker in your emergency kit. You can have a research speech in there, and you get it evaluated and you put it aside for when you're ready to do that second part. So that's what I would recommend. Table topics, that's part of your leadership role in your pathway, and timekeeping, all of those roles. Just be prepared to step in at any point. If a club, and that makes it better for their vice president of education, if they know that they've got people they can rely on with an emergency kit, that does wonders.
Thank you.
Have you come across clubs, Judith, that are starting to specialise in an area or trying to get something that they're unique at?
We have a wonderful club in Maryborough. It's a corporate club. Now there's mostly the ladies there work in IT industry or the health department or their own businesses, but they're a corporate club. And they work very well together. There's a fireman there and a pay clerk from an engineering firm. They're all working people. They're all wonderful mates. Their executive committee have a dinner together every so often, or they'll go to someone's house and have a meal on the veranda with, that kind of thing. So they've got the fellowship thing going. Have another club, Speakeasy, that has a social director. They meet at lunchtime on Mondays, Harvey Bay, and they go out for a meal once a month together, or a coffee. They all meet, so they have social times together, it's really helpful when people you need to meet friends. That you make friends with the members, and some of them are lifetime members. I've known a lot of people for 30 years over my time.
That's interesting, because Kiriana from South Bank noticed that they have a social component to their building, to their club, and not forgetting that if we go back to the traditional roles, social and hospitality is a part of the Sergeant of Arms role, but it doesn't mean that anyone could do it. But that may be something that you instigate in your clubs, because it could be that person that is looking for the social interaction, and maybe that's what we're missing.
Yeah, they have the 7 executive committee, and then they have a social director, and then each meeting there's a providor who brings the meal, supplies the lunch in the Speakeasy Club I'm talking about.
And that's different, isn't it? Yeah,
it is, and it's a lovely idea. They have lunch together. They start their meeting at midday. They all have lunch, and it's a really nice atmosphere.
And Christine, that sounded like a lot of fun, that activity. Was it fun? Yeah, that's what we want. People will come back if it's a fun meeting. So so that's what we're talking about there. So thank you, Judith, so much. And I know I see everyone writing down these little points. Thank you so much.